Hi, I'm David. It's just 5 years ago this month that I received a kidney from my personal trainer. My kidney failure began when I really don't know exactly what age, because I was a case of neglect. I neglected myself. I neglected doctor visits, exercise. I ate poorly. Eventually, my doctor told me that my kidney was functioning way below par and that I needed to look into having a kidney transplant or facing the consequences. The first time I ever had dialysis treatment was actually after my gastric bypass surgery about 18 years ago. I came out and there were some complications. I needed to go on dialysis. And then the second time I had my dialysis treatments was after heart surgery, which was when I was about to be having my kidney transplant. When my doctor told me my best option would be to have a living donor transplant, I was both fearful and optimistic and began looking into what it would take to get a living donor. I found it very difficult to talk with my family about having a living kidney donor. I'm from a very small family. I'm an only child, so it was actually just my wife and myself, and I have 3 stepkids through my wife, so it was a very difficult situation to bring up in a conversation or otherwise. I was scared that I would receive a bunch of no's, or even before that, I was really terrified to impinge on somebody's life and ask them for a body part. I didn't know how to go about doing that or who I would ask. When my donor actually said that she would consider doing that, she actually didn't even say consider, she said she wanted to do it. I was just amazed. I had so many questions about how this would impact Ellen and her husband Mike and her kids, the logistics of doing it. I was so delighted to be offered the kidney, but just so confused and overwhelmed by the implications of actually asking, not just that she would agree to do it, but how we'd go about doing it. I tried not to get my hopes up too much because it's just an unbelievable thing that somebody would actually give you a body part that would work for you. And the testing is very complex, and there are many stages and considerations that go into that. But my wife and Ellen were very calming, and Jeannie was extremely helpful to me as life's partner. And Ellen was saying things about I was meant to do this, and I was saying to myself, well, let's see how things work out, as kind of a bomb to take care of myself in the event that didn't work out. Well, we learned a lot together about the procedure. Ellen was very astute in getting online and going ahead and answering questions. But then again, KU Medical Center was superb. They're wonderful in answering her questions. And I had some information for her also to familiarize herself with. On the day of the procedure, it was actually very odd because they do the surgery in different stages. They first do the surgery on Ellen to remove the kidney, and then I come second to have the kidney put into me. Ellen got there first, and she called just as we were pulling into the parking lot and said the kidney had been canceled for our surgery because somebody needed a liver, and livers seem to trump kidneys. So we were rescheduled for the next day. But the following day, which actually, oddly enough, made me feel good because I was able to have breakfast, and I was mighty hungry that morning. So it was kind of a dry run, which took some of the air out of the balloon of fear, if you will. And so we had the surgery the next day, and I remember before the surgery, my gurney being put alongside Ellen and just saying some sweet things. And it was very, very, very comforting. In total, the procedure took, I think, maybe about an hour and a half for each of us. Ellen actually got out of the hospital within 2 to 3 days. It was fairly quick. For myself, having been the kidney recipient and also having had a record of having had coronary artery bypass graft 6 months before, They had discovered there was what they call a slight blockage, but ultimately when they did the testing, they found that my heart was blocked in 5 places. They ultimately kept me longer in the hospital for a week, which actually was significantly longer than would have otherwise been the case if I didn't have that surgery. And I got out a week later, and Ellen got out 2 or 3 days later. So things seem to have gone extremely well. It took about maybe 2 weeks before I really felt like myself. They put the kidney in the lower part of the belly, so a belly cut is more tender and hurts when you shuffle around a little bit in the beginning. But in about 2 weeks, I really felt like I was back to myself, and the change was absolutely, God bless, remarkable. A life without dialysis is really remarkable. I had just enough dialysis after my gastric bypass to understand its limitations, at least intellectually, and then to some extent actually emotionally, to be tied to a machine 3 days a week for 3 and 4 hours, which seemed horrendous. I had my kidney transplant at 58, and I don't know how I would live my life by being chained to a machine. It would be sad, it would be debilitating. I remember my mother had been on dialysis as somebody who was in kidney failure, and the difficulty she had going 3 days a week from a nursing home, and I didn't want that for myself. Otherwise, I was in good health, and mobility was key, and I didn't want to be tied to a machine which would wreak havoc on blood pressure, infections, and things of that sort, so I feel truly blessed. The relationship that I have with my donor is unique. That's the best word for it. I'm an only child. She's my kidney sister. I can't even begin to describe the generosity of spirit, kindness, empathy that it has taken her, in my view, to be able to donate a part of her body and literally save my life. And for that, I am forever grateful. Above and beyond sending her flowers each year for our kidney anniversary. Love and blessings. My best memory of the entire episode, which was both emotional and exhilarating, was before surgery, as Ellen and I were lying gurney to gurney and talking and intertwining our fingers and wishing her the best, and she wished me the best. Love, partnership, remarkable empathy. I wanted to especially thank Ellen, who has made my life possible, given my wife Jeannie untold years of me. Oh God, I don't know if that's good or bad, but her remarkable gentleness and generosity and absolute grit and determination to do this, and her husband Mike and her kids, who just takes a team effort, and they did it. And I've been given a new life, and Jeannie a new life with me, and my stepkids Peter, Katie, Jessica, who's getting married in Ireland next year. God bless to everybody. Thank you. My advice to anybody else who needs a kidney, go for it. Ask those in your family, directly or indirectly, or best yet, work with the National Kidney Foundation. They have really knowledgeable, in-depth strategies for how to ask the most difficult question: would you consider donating a kidney to me? And keep pushing. Don't put it off. It literally is a new life, or your old life restored. So it's in your best interest. God bless you, and keep on pushing for it.